port of entry. It is still closed. I think this is day 4, Chad. If you want to go to Rocky Point, you can't. There are businesses in Lukeville that I don't even know. They may have to shut down because no one is there.
No,
All right.
zero.
Without further ado, as promised, joining us is Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Arizona Senator, how are you today? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing well, guys. How are you?
Hey, we're doing good, Senator. So my first question is, are you personally involved in getting the Lukeville port open? And if so, what are you doing?
Well, guys, I am working very hard on this issue. You know, the closure of the Lukeville port is unacceptable. It's not okay for Arizona's families. It's not good for tourism. It's not good for business. As you guys were mentioning, some of these local businesses are going to have to shut down. The owner of the gas station in Arizona is saying that she's already seeing only 50% of her daily revenue. So this is really horrible. And the closure comes because the Department of Homeland Security has not surged adequate resources to the Lukeville port to process the unprecedented number of migrants who are illegally entering the country every single day. And it's the administration's job to surge those resources down there, and they need to do so as quickly as possible. So I have spoken with the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. I've spoken with Secretary Salazar, who is the ambassador to Mexico, and said to him, like, you've got to get the Mexican government engaged to help us slow this flow. They're not doing anything to help slow this migrant flow right now. And I'm continuing to call on the administration to step up. Now, that's part of the solution, guys. But the other part of the solution, you've heard me talk about this before, is that we actually have to change the policies in our country that create accountability for people who seek to enter this country and claim asylum, even though the vast majority of them have no right to asylum in our country.
Right.
They're abusing this process and exploiting the loophole, and we have got to change the law and create accountability mechanisms to stop that from happening.
Hey, Senator, we're talking to Senator Sinema as we talk about what's going down there in Lukeville. The other night there was a contentious hearing, not a hearing, but a closed-door meeting that was supposed to be about Ukraine, but it came with, hey, we want to talk about the border as well, and that got a little out of control. I heard that, Mr. Graham cursed. The reality is, though, what is the pushback from Democrats on why there's nothing that can be done? Because you can't look at this and look at New York City and everywhere in between and think that there shouldn't be some sort of change.
Well, look, I got to be honest. I don't understand the individuals who say nothing needs to change and nothing needs to be fixed. There were over 12,000 people who approached the Arizona-Texas border on Tuesday of this week, and over 10,000 of those individuals entered the country illegally, which means they didn't even go to the ports of entry. They just walked through the desert or over, in the river to come to this country. So anyone who says that is acceptable hasn't paid attention to what's happening, and they haven't seen or don't care about the unmitigated crisis that's occurring in southern Arizona. So I can't even answer that.
So when is it going to open? Do you have a timetable? Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it 3 months? Do you have any sort of idea when it's plausible that it can reopen?
We have gotten no sufficient answers from the United States government about when they're going to reopen the port. And that is why I continue to work feverishly on the solution, which is to, as you guys know, I'm leading a bipartisan effort to find a coalition, get people out of their partisan corners and actually address this problem. We've got to change the laws so that we can let people in who do have a shot at asylum in our country and respectfully turn people away who do not have legal access to our country.
Senator Kyrsten Sinema is joining us on KTAR. It's not common to close a port of entry. Do you remember the last time a port of entry was closed, either in Arizona or elsewhere?
I can't even remember it. And this is how, you guys, this is how serious it is. It's affected everyone in Arizona. My aunt sent me a text message earlier this week, and she said, who do I complain to about the Lukeville port being closed, Kyrsten? And I was like, well, I mean, you just did. So right. I will pass your complaint along to the Secretary of Homeland Security and to the Mexican ambassador, which I did. And so if my aunt's listening, I want her to know that I'm taking her complaint seriously. This is completely unacceptable. But what I can't tell you is when they're going to reopen it because they don't know.
By the way, she loves our show. I just know it.
Your
Here's
aunt?
something for
Her
you.
aunt?
Yeah, her aunt
Okay.
absolutely totally loves our show.
Oh, I'm sure she does.
Here's something for you. Mayorkas, why does he still have a job? Because I'm trying to figure it out, and every time I see him, I just hear, the border is secure. I don't know what not secure looks like, but I feel like it looks like this.
You know, he's said different things than that in recent hearings. You know, I've called him in front of my committee, the border committee, a number of times, and he's come in front of the Homeland Security Committee, the larger committee, a number of times. And recently he has begun to say, yeah, this is a crisis. Because you guys, I mean, factually, it's a crisis. Like that's not an opinion piece.
Right.
That's fact. It is a crisis. What I'm trying to do is to get him and the administration to not only acknowledge it's a crisis, but to tell us that they support and welcome changes in the law so that we can address this crisis. You know, the American government should be making decisions about who enters our country and when. But right now, it's the Sinaloa cartel that makes those decisions. And that is not okay. That is dangerous for our country.
Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema is our guest. We're talking about Lukeville. The port of entry is closed. My question is kind of simple because I just wonder this. There were so many television stations filming cartels or smugglers literally cutting into the border wall. And let's say that a Border Patrol agent was right there watching this happen. Do they have are they allowed to do anything? Are they allowed to stop that person on the other side of the wall from cutting into it? Or do we just let it go?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question, guys, to be honest. What I can tell you is that if the United States government is allowing folks to cut into gaps in the border fence and bring people in, that is a searing indictment on the complete and total lack of security in our country. The challenge we face is that right now, under the law, if those people get to the border and say, I'm here to claim asylum, the United States government, under our current law, allows them to claim the asylum, and then processes them in the course of a day or two, and then releases them into the interior of the country with a little note that says, you know, we'll get you in front of a judge one day, guys. But if you want to apply for asylum, do so in the next year or so, and just releases these folks into the country. Now, that's not secure. That's not safe. That's smart. But you know what it also is? It's a signal to the cartels and to people all throughout the world. You can come here and get a free pass in. And that's what we've got to fix. So that's what I'm spending all of my time doing is working to build the bipartisan coalition to change the law so that is no longer allowable or permissive in our system. But I'll tell you what I need, guys. And this is to folks who are listening. This is what I need. I need people who are willing to stop just repeating the talking points that they hear on MSNBC or Fox News, and I need them to understand that we need a workable, realistic solution, and that will require compromise. So I need folks who are willing to get out of the partisan echo stream and actually focus on the practical reality of how do we solve this problem. That's what I need.
All right. Senator, good to have you on the show. Thanks for all the info, and keep us updated on when that port could open, okay?
I will, absolutely. Thanks, guys, so much.
All right, Arizona Senator Kyrsten Sinema. All right, I hope that she looks into that, like what can a Border Patrol agent actually do if he or she is right at the wall and watching a cartel member cut through it? Any power whatsoever?
No.
Or do we just sit there and take it and look weak? Because that's what it looks like to me.
It's just the frustration level of what's going on down there. And you could, again, being partisan, we understand that. That's what politics is about. But you know what? As she said, there's no way anybody with common sense could say that there's nothing wrong at the border.
Thanks for watching Gatos and Chad. Click to watch more and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.